Hey, this is Carlos Cavallo, the dating advice guru from datingadviceguru.com. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some secrets to unlock a man's heart, but first, I want to make sure you understand that you don't want to make this relationship wrecking mistake. I don't know if it seems like it's that dire, but it is pretty important that, well, have you ever thought about the things in life that we sometimes take for granted? Like running or public transport, for example. You know, they might experience the occasional hiccup, but for the most part, you know that it's always going to be there, right? Like when you get on the train in the morning, you get on the bus, or depending wherever you happen to live. Intellectually, we know that it takes people and a whole lot of infrastructure to make those things work, right? Yet we push this fact into the back of our minds. We kind of forget that that's going on beneath the surface and just kind of conveniently forget about it. It's kind of like when you have that special person in your life. There are a lot of women who will fall into the notion that they can just let the relationship run on cruise control. Kind of sit back, relax, don't do that much work. After all, how could something that feels so awesome ever go wrong, right? And that's where things get messy. This kind of thinking tends to overcome our better judgment, and it's that love high that's to blame. Really. Just think about it. Romance literally triggers a release of neurotransmitters in our systems, which are basically chemicals that give us that rush that we crave, right? Unfortunately, a lot of people get caught up in this temporary but addictive euphoria, and it can be rough. Once that effect wears off, it is very much a biochemical effect, and we're left to deal with reality after catching up with change. So, a lot of women get so caught up in this romantic phase and overlook the obvious stuff that they end up neglecting the reality that people and the relationships that come with it won't be the same a few years or even months down the road. And when change hits them like a ton of bricks, it seems to them like it came out of nowhere. But there's a saying, right? Change generally happens all at once, but over a long period of time. They're genuinely surprised that the person that they put up on a pedestal turned out to be just as fallible as any other person. These women can't process the simple fact, and it makes it hard for them to actually do something about those changes, even when it's happening right before their eyes. They refuse to accept this natural stage of their relationship. Yes, it's natural to outgrow the romantic feelings you have for a person on the surface, and changing the way you feel about the person you love can be a scary thought. However, once you push past this fear, you'll eventually understand that you can replace these romantic feelings with a deeper kind of love later on. Taking off the blinders and moving forward is important, but it's not going to happen without making the effort it takes to get to the next level in your relationship. That's why the worst thing you could do is assume that you'll get through this stage, even if you don't put in the work needed to make the gears turn in your relationship. And doing that means actively deciding to adjust to these changes instead of turning a blind eye or resisting them. Those who don't do this end up believing that the changes in the relationship, are just too much for them to handle. And when they go down on this path, their relationship will eventually fall apart like a faulty car, leaving them permanently stranded along the road. But this is totally preventable. As dangerous as it is to resist change in your relationship, adapting to it isn't as hard as you might think. Now, the first step is to stop denying that you and your partner will become different people down the road. Let it be a given that you've been changing the moment you became a couple, okay? And it directly affects the dynamic of your relationship. With this kind of mindset, you'll spend less energy resisting change and focus on adjusting to those differences as opposed to fighting it. You might think at first that there's nothing you could ever disagree about with your partner, right? But soon enough, those differences they will emerge whether you want them to or not, and it won't be pretty. There's no getting around the reality that you were raised differently from your partner. That's fine. You had different experiences growing up. Like it or not, your respective principles and values are going to step into that ring and kind of duke it out a little bit. So you might as well learn to embrace this chaotic time in your relationship, to come out of it in one piece. And if you want to prepare for this inevitable title fight, you'll need to see things from your partner's perspective. It's the old saying, right? Make sure you walk a mile in another person's moccasins. Ask yourself some key questions about your partner, like, why is he so passionate when we argue about how we spend money in the relationship? Could it be that the money is a really big deal to him and it might be something more important to him than you, or vice versa? Why does he shut down whenever I make the slightest mention of commitment or settling down? Maybe there's something in him that's triggered that makes him want to resist that, and there's got to be another way to go there. You don't always have to take the same path to get to the same location. What makes him so skittish about these topics anyway? He seems so stoic at times, and I don't get why he doesn't share his feelings with me. He thinks I'm too emotional just because I don't shut him out like he does. By dealing with these tough questions, you're going to dig into each other's minds, revealing that inner part of yourselves that wasn't so obvious before. And this is where the real growth in your relationship begins. It's not in the superficial stuff. It's not in the day-to-day, occasional text to each other. It's on the real deep level of change. Slowly but surely, you'll get past this emotionally turbulent part of your relationship, and you'll learn to adjust to your ever emerging differences down the road. Of course, this process is gradual, and you'll spend quite some time making those little discoveries and milestones along the way. But all that effort will pay off in the end. Taking the time to know each other on a deeper level is, in many ways, investing in a richer future for you and your partner. Best of all, you'll come to be okay with the fact that neither the relationship or your partner has to be flawless. By working with those flaws, you can use them as a way to appreciate your partner, warts and all. And then those petty arguments won't matter as much anymore. That's because you'll finally understand why you have them in the first place. That's the beauty of it. Couples who've grown old together know that there are some things that they'll never agree on, but they've learned to live with it. This single quality is what separates them from the other couples. But none of this will be possible if you don't take an active role in dealing with your differences. By the way, if you're really interested in knowing what he's really thinking about, you need to check out How to Read His Signals. This is my program that explains what makes men tick. And you can learn all about this life-changing course by going to datingadviceguru.com/read his signals. That's datingadviceguru.com/read his signals, all one word. Go on over there. Plus, you can get your free bonus as well as get on my newsletter. For God's sakes, what are you waiting for? Get over there, put your email in. I promise you I will never send you junk. I want to send you only the best dating advice you can get. Hey, that's why they call me the Dating Advice Guru. This is Carlos Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com. Look forward to talking to you again very soon.